I cut my hair, so you know what that means, folks. That means it's time. It's time for anime time. You know when you got my nice double chin all visible. When you can really see the full view of my fucking thumb looking ass head, unobstructed. Uh, that's when you know it's time for anime. Like you can't even see the difference. Is this my thumb or is this my head? You don't even know. You can't even tell. And also, if you look at the history of the Matt McMeme channel, I've pretty much done most exclusively anime content. This has been pretty much an anime channel in general, so I wouldn't really want to break tradition necessarily. I'm a pretty traditional guy. I like to keep things the way they are. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, I wanted to make a video talking about why this season of anime is one of the best fucking seasons of anime of the last few years. Because there's a shit ton of really good shows. Especially compared to the rest of this year, which has been, with the exception of, some good continuations and sequels and stuff. There was obviously My Hero Academia season 3, and Food Wars had like the second part of its third season or something. I don't even know what the deal was with that. But that's all obviously really good. But as far as stuff that isn't sequels, it's been pretty shit for the most part. I gotta be honest with you. There's been like Megalobox was pretty good. Um, Fucking Cells at Work. Osmosis Jones anime. It's obviously it's obviously great, but other than that, not a ton. This season, on the other hand, it's got great shows. It's got like at least four great shows. At least four because I'm only really watching four from this season. And JoJo, which is in continuation. So, kind of, I don't necessarily want to count that. Also, everybody already knows about JoJo. And there are even possibly even more good shows that I am not even watching. There's that PA Works show that people say is really good that I haven't gotten around to watching. There's Honda-san or Skullface Bookseller, whatever, that I probably should watch. There's that Cute Boys Running anime that people say is pretty good for a cute boy sports anime. So even outside of these anime that I'm going to be talking about, there's even more good stuff, even more good shows this season to watch. Further proving my point. And, this further goes to show why I am the best AniTuber and why I should be invited to speak at a Crunchyroll Expo panel. So Crunchyroll, hit me up in my Twitter DMs at Matthew McMeme on Twitter, and I'll accept it. Um, I'll go to Crunchyroll Expo if you pay for it. Don't worry about that. Um, I think about it. Why not? Might as well make this a countdown. Since I'm here, I'm already making a video. I've already mentioned how many anime I'm watching this season that aren't a continuation, that aren't JoJo. So we'll do it. Top four shows of this season. So these are all good shows. Even if you're not an anime, even if you're not a hashtag otaku, even if you're not a big anime nerd, I'd say these are all pretty beginner, quote unquote beginner friendly anime. Um, so I would just watch any of them, watch all of them, in fact. So coming in number four, the worst anime of the season, um, SSSS Gridman. Um, No relation to the Nazis, despite having two SS's in its name. Thankfully, not related to Nazis. Um, Gridman is apparently, from what I've been told, as I know basically nothing about Tokusatsu. Um, it's a spin-off of Ultraman, and now it's got an anime adaptation done by Trigger. So hopefully that would give you some insight as to what the show is like. It's pretty goofy. It's pretty action packed. It's pretty fucking off the wall, cuckoo bananas. Um, has pretty great animation, really great character design, color design. It's very nice to look at. It's got a lot of really interesting ideas, like the whole fucking setup for the hero villain dynamic is very intriguing, especially as the show has gone on. I'm a bit behind as I'm watching the dub of it, so I don't even know where that'll go. But I'm invested. I'm interested, which is pretty much what I'm saying. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's a tokusatsu show, which again, I'm not necessarily a tokusatsu fan, so I would say the combat isn't necessarily the most engaging thing in the world to me. Although I do really appreciate the use of CG to more accurately represent what tokusatsu fights are actually like, um, which is pretty cool. But other than that, it's not necessarily the most interesting part of the show for me. I am a big fan of the characters and the plot. I think the writing of the show is really good. It's really entertaining. The dub is also really well acted. Um, so yeah, even if the action isn't necessarily my speed, it might be your speed, and even if it's not your speed, like it's not for me, it's still a really good show anyway. The action isn't bad by any means, even if it's not necessarily in my wheelhouse. So you should watch that one. Number three best show of the season is fucking the time I got turned into a slime or whatever. Shortened to Slime Tensei, I think. Um, that's a good show. It's I had heard about this one actually a few I don't know like a few months or something before the anime came out. People were saying that it was good. It's one of those. It's like alongside fucking Shield Hero and like the manga where they fucking like make food in dungeons and stuff. It's one of those isekai mangas. People are like, oh, this is a really good one, and they recommend to people. But I kind of just was like, fucking whatever. I don't give a shit. Because anime fans are pretty stupid most of the time. They like Goblin Hunter, Goblin Slayer. They like, name a shitty anime. Somebody probably likes it. So you can't trust these people. But nevertheless, Slime Tensei is actually really good. It is an isekai. Dude dies and goes into a fantasy video game type world, and he's turned into a slime monster. And that's pretty much all the plot is so far. He's just kind of gone around doing stuff. I am behind on this one as well, as I'm also watching the dub for this. But pretty much the show's really good, and I'm going to tell you why. You can kind of rank isekai fantasy stuff on like a big sliding scale of more goofy and more serious slash edgy, I guess, and with like Sao or something, some other kind of show like that. I don't know. Would be on the far right of that scale, and Konosuba being on the far left of that scale. I think that Slime Tensei would be like slightly be more towards the left, about midway between the left and the center. It is not quite as bereft of seriousness as Konosuba is, but it is still really lighthearted and fun and funny and enjoyable. So far, I mean, the show might get darker. Like I said, I'm still pretty early in by virtue of the dub being slower. But, I mean, even if it goes a bit heavier, the show's writing has been fantastic up to this point, so I have no reason to doubt that it would, or I have no reason to suspect that it would plummet all of a sudden for no good reason. Even the first episode, you can tell right off the bat that it's going to be a bit more relaxing and enjoyable than your average isekai. Um, it shows you, the main character's origin. It shows you him dying, and then the rest of the episode is just him hanging out in a cave talking to like this sad, like tsundere old dragon dude who's been like locked in the cave for 100 years, and it's really cute and funny. And that's pretty much, you characterize the rest of the show. It's just cute and funny and nice. So you should watch that one. Then, number 2 anime of the season is Zombieland Saga. Now, if you are at all plugged into anime circles, you may have heard of this one, as with its most recent episode, it's started a bit of controversy, as one of the main characters is trans, as we have learned in the new episode. So, hopefully you may have already had your eye on this one. Zombieland Saga, it's a show, it's ostensibly an idol show, although it's a pretty goofy parody of an idol show. It begins with the main character going on this really silly, goofy, generic, I'm a clumsy high school girl, but I really care and I want to be an idol. That kind of main character speech. Ends with her running out of her house, going to school with toast in her mouth, and then she gets hit by a car and dies. And that's that was kind of a bit of a mimetic thing for a while, so you may have seen that as well. But it's kind of shows about a group of girls, zombie girls, who are all from different time periods, which is probably one of the more interesting aspects of the show to me. Different time periods, being an idol, fucking, because this necromancer guy he wants them to do it, so they do it. The show is very funny show of the season by far, 10 out of 10 funny. Probably the funniest part is the aforementioned necromancer, whose name escapes me at the moment. But whoever his voice actor is, the performance is fucking, it's 10 out of 10. And that's the reason why I didn't watch that one dubbed, is because the little bits of the dub performance of that guy were definitely nowhere near as good. But it rides a very fine line between, being actually really goofy and kooky and funny, and being XD, haha, so random, which a lot of anime characters of that type tend to be. But he rides the line well, and so far he's been pretty much exclusively just really funny. And the rest of the characters too, they're all really charming, all really likable, all pretty funny. Obviously, the punk biker girl is the best character. And the creators knew that she was the best character too, since she's fucking the leader of the idol group. So clearly they fucking know what's up. And even as they've gotten more into more dramatic stuff with the last few episodes, that's been really good as well, especially the most recent one. some tear jerking stuff in that episode. Made the eyes well up a little bit. Not gonna lie, it's good shit. It's a really great show. You should watch it. Number one anime of the season. Uh, May Allah forgive me for uttering this name. Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. Put the name aside. I know. Trust me. I fucking know that the name is the worst name for an anime you've ever heard in your life. Because that's how I felt when I first heard about it. And that's why I didn't watch it until like 2 weeks ago. Until, I saw people say, no, this show's you actually need to watch it though, man. And I was like, okay, fine. It's by the guy who made Origairu, which should also give you a bit of a hint as to what the show's tone is. But unlike Origairu, the main character is not insufferable, and it feels much less like, a kind of fantasy wish fulfillment type thing. The show is really, really similar to Monogatari. It's Monogatari, but much more chilled out and less bonkers. Main character, he's a snarky, sassy, sarcastic loner guy who meets this girl who has a supernatural problem that she needs help solving, and he helps her solve it, and they fall in love over the course of that, and they start dating, and then the rest of the show has been him going out and helping other girls with other supernatural problems. The main character his name is Sakuta. He's much more faithful than Araragi is. So far, he's not done anything quite so heinous as what Araragi usually gets up to with other women. But the show is very, very relaxing. Nowhere near as harem-y as its name would suggest, and also as its similarity to Monogatari would suggest. Whilst some of the characters so far have fallen in love with the main character, they for one, it's really it's really believable. The main character is actually a really cool guy. He's a badass dude, despite his kind of outward genericness when you first look at him, but he's actually fucking badass. No, I'm serious on that one, guys. The characters all go through stuff that's about shows about teenage issues and shit, about how the first arc of the show is about atmosphere and people just following social cues and stuff without really thinking about it and that kind of stuff. And the second one is about being too self-conscious and trying to not have any social friction in your life, stuff like that. It's very teen-centric. I suppose I can see how someone would be who gives a shit? I'm not a fucking gay teenager. So I suppose if that kind of stuff really bugs you, then you might not like it. But other than that, I mean, the writing is great, and the characters are all really well written. You should still like it. I mean, unless you're a fucking baby. But the show is good, and it's enjoyable. It's really relaxing. Like I said, the music is great. The fucking opening is a pop punk song, which really does not fit the tone at all. But it's a pretty good pop punk song, I gotta say. Also, it is light on fan service, so it doesn't quite get into that more weirder territory. If you're worried about that, um, it's pretty. The character designs are a little wonky, but not not like distractingly bad, and pretty much everything else compensates for that. Um, it's got a main character beats the shit out of a guy, um, and he like kicks him in the face, and he's like, "Haha, dude, I had dog shit on my foot, so now your face smells like dog shit." And the dude's like, "Oh no, dude, do I smell like dog shit?" um, and also